everyone, thanks for joining. We should be here today to talk about Skype for Business. My name is Patty Smirk and I'm with Simplex-IT, and we do these monthly office webinars monthly. So this month was a little bit different though. We did this Skype for Business webinar I think on September 8th, but I never sent out the reminder email, so we had a pretty low attendance. So I thought, well, maybe it was because I forgot to send out the reminder email. So I wanted to make the offer to do it again. So I'm glad that some of you have joined me, and I apologize for not sending out that reminder email. So this is an encore performance, if you will. Please feel free to ask any questions. I have muted the audience just to try to cut down on some background noise that we usually get during these things. But if you have any questions, let me know. Either type it in the chat window, or you can take yourself off mute to interject and to ask. Okay. So without further ado. Simplex-IT is a good company, we like to say. So we're a Microsoft partner, Sophos partner, Cisco. So if you use any one of these technologies, we can certainly help you out with that. And should we be your IT department? Well, we sure hope so. So if you can answer yes to any one of these questions, please feel free to reach out and let's have a chat. If you already have an IT department, sometimes Simplex-IT can complement that existing department or help with certain projects. So even though you have an IT department, we may still be able to have a fit there. We do have some more event topics coming up for 2016. For October, we have an executive seminar on backup disaster recovery, and I probably should have put business continuity in there because that actually is the main focus of the seminar. So we'll meet up at our office in Stowe. So if you're local to Northeast Ohio, please make a reservation to join us for that. It is free. We'll have breakfast around 9 o'clock, and then we'll talk a little bit about backup disaster recovery and business continuity. And sometimes we think of disasters as being, hurricanes or floods or, your typical natural disaster. And in Northeast Ohio, we don't really have a lot of that. We have a bad snowstorm every now and then, maybe some ice. But we're not in that type of area. But there are other times where we do want to think about the importance of backup disaster recovery and business continuity. If you get hacked, or if you lose data, or you're taken offline for a substantial amount of time, there are instances where your business still needs to operate. You still need to do the day-to-day operations. So we'll talk about how to keep your business running in the event of a disaster. Our next office webinar will be on the screen recorder in PowerPoint. So we did a PowerPoint webinar a couple months ago, and the screen recorder feature was everybody's favorite. So I thought we'll do a webinar just focusing on that and get into a little bit more detail with that. And then on October 18th, we'll talk about task types in projects. So we do a monthly project webinar, and I know in Microsoft Project, task types are sometimes challenging. So we have, your task types are fixed duration, fixed units, and sometimes depending on which type you choose, it's difficult to get the duration to not change. And sometimes you add a person to a task and it makes the duration of the task shorter, or and sometimes I know that that's frustrating. So if you fought with that with that part of Microsoft Project, then please join us for that webinar. They are up on our website. If you go to simplex-it.com and you click on the event calendar, these webinars are there. So if you want to register now so that you don't forget, just in case I forget to send out the reminder email again, you can certainly do that now. All right. Simplex-IT, of course, we focus on being your virtual IT department. If you have an IT department, of course, we can help with that. But we also have two other branches. So we have our Simplex DBA, and Doug Tombo heads that up, and he's out to ensure the health, performance, and usefulness of your corporate data is the best that it can be. And then Simplex PM is the branch that I head up, and I am here to help project managers at small to mid-sized businesses. So sometimes we think project management can only be done at the high level, or the big guys, or the big construction projects. but that's not the case. We do it here at Simplex-IT, and we're a small company, and some of those disciplines and tools that we use at the high level can also be used for on a smaller scale. All right, so now that we got through those slides, let's talk about Skype for Business. So I am going to, full disclosure, I'm going to show you our internal Skype for Business window here, because it's kind of hard to show a webinar or a demonstration without it being your own. So you'll see all the good and bad of Skype for Business. So right now I just pulled up my Skype for Business screen here, and I'll start at the top and just work our way down. So right up at the top, I'm in Skype for Business. You've got a menu bar. We'll talk about that later. Right up here, you can see where I have webinars 10 to 11. That's a note from me to everybody, and it appears underneath, other people when they see my list here. It might appear right under my name. But that's just telling them that I'm doing webinars from 10 to 11. Just letting them know I'm busy. Here's my status. Since I am presenting my screen, Skype for Business already set my status to presenting and set it to do not disturb. So I won't get other people's Skype messages. They know not to bother me while we're doing webinars. Of course, you can change it to busy or away or what have you. Here I can set my location. If I wanted to say that I was working from my home office one day, or if I was traveling, I could set my location here. These next couple of buttons just change the view here. So here I'm looking at my contact list. Looks like I have a missed conversation here, so I can click on that to see my missed calls. And then if I wanted to meet right now, I can go to my meetings and click on Meet Now. So if I had a meeting in my Outlook calendar, I could go into Skype for Business and go into that meeting from there. Down below, here we have our groups. So here, I believe I have Bob marked as my favorite. That's why he's showing up at the top, so he'll get a kick out of that. And then right below that, you'll see everybody else at Simplex-IT. So here you can see sort of how it looks, for everybody else here. So I can see that Alla's busy and Bob's busy. Looks like Craig's available. So I can see who I can bug, if you will. And then, sometimes we like to have fun and type in some little funny comments. These are the ones that appear. Mine was boring today, and I just said webinars from 10 to 11. So let's say that I want to send Kayla an instant message. So I can double click on her name, and it's going to pop up a message for me to be able to type. So I'm just going to say, hi Kayla. I'm going to spell it right first. I'm presenting a Skype for Business webinar, and I'm going to use you as an example. All right. Now, if I wanted to do, a little smiley face or a little emoji, you can type that out, or you actually have smileys that you can choose from. Okay? So they're fun, fun little emojis, just like on your phone or when you text message. So they're pretty cute. So maybe I will send Kayla this cute little squirrel. All right, and then I'm just going to send, so I'll click send, and there you see that it pops up. So we can have a conversation back and forth. Now, let's say that we're actually doing this, and we run into a case where, let's just talk on the phone. We're going back and forth way too much. It's not really working. So here, I can choose to call her. So I can click call, and it will actually ring on her computer. I'm not going to do that now though, because I'm actually already in a call. So because I'm using Skype for Business to present this webinar, I'm already in a call with you. So I don't want to call her because it'll put this call on hold, which is actually a nice feature in real life. Just when we use it for webinars, I of course don't want to put you on hold. But otherwise, I could call her. This will allow me to do a video call with her, and this will allow me to present my desktop to her. Okay, so sometimes, especially if one of us is working remotely, or if we're traveling or whatever and trying to work through a problem, it's really nice to be able to just see that desktop. There are some more options here. So here's where you can record. You can change your text display size. You can change your font. You can mark it a high priority. What I really like is merging the call. So let's say you've got two different IM conversations going on. I'm talking to Kayla and I'm talking to Bob, and I realize, you know what, we're both talking about the same thing. Let's just move them together, merge them together. You can select that. And you can see that here we have 5 participants on this call, so it would be merging Kayla's call, and it calls it a call even though it's just this instant message screen, with the call that we are all on. And then of course help. Whoops. I lost my screen here. All right. There we go. So there you can see what a Skype for Business session looks like. Here I can see how many participants are in here. If I wanted to invite somebody else to the conversation, let's say I was talking to Kayla and we got into a discussion about something and I want to bring Bob in, I can click on the little plus sign up at the top and click on Bob to invite him in. Now, another nice thing with Skype for Business is that it integrates nicely with Outlook. So let me bring up my Outlook screen. And again, this is my Outlook, so it's you'll see all my stuff. But here, if I wanted to create, let's say that I want to create a new Skype for Business meeting. So I want to create a conference call or a meeting. And I want to be able to send participants a link, okay, which is exactly what you got when you received the email from me this morning about joining this webinar. So here, instead of just selecting meeting, I can go down to the bottom and select Skype meeting. And it's going to create a Skype meeting for me. And you'll notice that it puts, I don't know where it went. It flashed up for a second. There it is. So you'll notice that it puts all the Skype connection information in there for you. Now I will say that if you have Skype for Business, you can do this portion. It'll show you just the Skype link. Okay. If you have, I think it's the E3 subscription, and I can verify that for you if you want, that's what gives you the phone number to call in. Okay? And really the only thing that's needed for is if somebody doesn't have audio enabled on their phone, or they don't have a microphone on their computer. So sometimes people will join the Skype meeting to see the screen and then dial in to the toll-free number, or to the number for the audio portion. But if you just have Skype for Meeting or Skype for Business, you can still do this part of it. So then here I would create this invitation just like any other meeting invite. I can select who I want to send it to, where it is. The location will be over Skype, and then all the meeting details, and send it. I don't necessarily need to do that now for you, but I did want to show you kind of what that looked like. And then, of course, it'll appear in your calendar with all of these details. Now, we use it a lot for communicating, especially when we're working remotely, or if somebody's at a client site and we just need to communicate back and forth, instant messages work great for that. But sometimes, you may get into a situation where instant messages isn't working and you want to give that person a call, or you need to do a video call, or you need to screen share. That these buttons down at the bottom are great for quick transitions like that. So when I created this instant message conversation with Kayla, I just double clicked on her name and it opened up a window for us. Here, if instead of that, if I wanted to right click, you can see all of the options that I have. So here, if I right click, I can just send in an instant message. I can call, and when I say call, it's going to actually call her computer, and she's going to be able to answer from her computer. It doesn't call her phone or anything, unless she has Skype for Business, the app installed on like a mobile phone. Then it will call, but not an office desk phone or anything. I can start a video call, send an email, or schedule a meeting. So these Outlook integrations are really nice too, and I use them a lot because I always have my Skype for Business window open. I usually have it open on my secondary monitor, but it's always there because it's very easy to just send people quick messages. So, if I wanted to send Jeff a message, or in email, let's say, I can right click on his name and select send email message, and that's going to pop up a blank email over in Outlook. So really nice. Nice that I didn't have to switch over to Outlook, go up to new. It just does it quickly there for me. And same thing with scheduling a meeting. If I wanted to schedule a meeting with Kayla, I can select her name, right click, and select schedule a meeting, and there's my meeting invite that's generated automatically with her. Now, it didn't say schedule a Skype meeting, so I don't have my Skype information here. But in this case, that's fine because she's in the office next to mine and we don't need to use a Skype meeting. Also, if I right click, I can choose to copy or to find previous conversations. Full disclosure, pretty much everything is saved by default in your Skype for Business conversations. There's actually a conversation history folder in Outlook that stores all of your conversations, which is really great. I use it quite often because sometimes I'll start a conversation and then close the window by accident, or maybe we get into a really good discussion and I want to save it. Then I use that all the time. So here you can see our history, and refer back to those conversations at any time. Let me get the window. Oh, here we go. The window back for Skype. So I can see my previous conversations here, or they're in my conversation history folder in Outlook. I can add people to my favorites and they appear up at the top. I think that's how Bob appeared up there when I was doing my last Skype for Business webinar. Let's see, I can copy contacts and I can move contacts between groups. So here, we're a pretty small company, so I don't have a lot of contacts. If you are working for a larger company though, you may want to create groups. So here it would look just like where you see Simplex-IT here, but you may have developers or accounting or whatever groups make sense for you. You can put people in groups. And then it's nice too because you can expand and collapse the groups. So if you did have a lot of people and a lot of groups, you can collapse it so that you can see them and scroll through them quickly. If you want to remove somebody from your contact list, you just right click and you can remove from a group or from a contact list. This is nice. You can tag for status alert changes. So if I'm, maybe I'm waiting for, who's away? Bob's away. Maybe I'm waiting for Bob to come back. So if I right click on him and select tag for status alert, next time his status changes, I will get an alert pop up and hopefully it'll say Bob is available. So I use it a lot if I'm waiting for somebody to come back. And then C contact card just gives you all that contact information for that person. So, you know, any email, phone, whatever information. There are some settings up here that you can tinker around with. You know, we can different audio device settings, you know, where your recordings are going to go, where your different options are. Those are all available. And then of course settings here is where you can control the settings for Skype. So, or I'm sorry, Skype for Business. So I can change my, you know, my login address or sign-in address, control my contacts. You know, if I want to see contact name and picture, or just the name. You know, if you had a lot of contacts, maybe you don't want to take up the space to show the picture. You know, how you want your list to show, your statuses, different alerts when you want to be alerted. So it's very customizable. Check spelling as I type is always one that I need. And then Skype meetings, you have some different options there as well. So I just wanted to kind of show you some of the options. It's one thing that's kind of nice is the meeting reminders, so you don't it won't show notifications within Skype when Outlook is up, because you get your Outlook notifications. So it's nice that it knows that, you know, you're not bombarded with different notifications. All right. Well, I think that covers everything. Oh, I do see a question about how difficult is it to set up external contacts. Thank you so much for asking that question, because I did want to mention that Skype for Business fully integrates with Skype. So although I may use Skype for Business with other people here in my office that use Skype for Business, I may want to use Skype for Business to talk to my cousin in Nashville that just has Skype. So it's very easy. You just set them up the same way. So I can add a contact in my organization, or add a contact not in my organization. As long as you have their Skype for Business email, you know, whatever they use for their Skype for Business account, you can have a Skype for Business external contact or just a Skype external contact. So it's kind of nice. You can have them all together. So yes, thank you for asking that question. Great question. All right, that covers everything I wanted to go over. If you have any other questions, please type them in the chat window. Otherwise, thank you for joining me this morning. I hope that this was helpful for you. If you have any questions after this webinar as you're working, certainly feel free to reach out to me. My email address there is on the screen, and I would love to hear from you. All right, thanks everyone. Hope you have a great day. Bye.